Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Elise Reads and Speaks. Today I am starting the second part of my ARC reading vlog. So in my first part of this reading vlog, I read and reviewed 4 ARCs that I got from YALLFest that were being released a little sooner than these last 4 ARCs. So today I have finished one, and that one is The Loop by Ben Oliver. I just want to talk a little bit about it, say what I liked, say what I didn't like, and hopefully get you into something that will be hitting the shelves sometime soon. So the premise of this one is that there is this place called The Loop, hence the name of the book. Okay, The Loop is where people go when they are convicted of a crime. It'd be easy to call it a jail, but it's also so much worse than a jail. Like, these people are kind of tortured every single day, and they have some like energy that's sucked out of them to keep this loop going each day too. So it's a little different than a jail. The society is a little different too. So there are people called regular and people called alts. The regulars are just like you and me, like regular humans. The alts, I believe, are people that are born as human, but undergo these surgeries to get altered to be like a better form of a human, you know, more healthy, more vital to society, something like that. For example, there's some surgery that you could have done that would impact your eyesight, whether it's like a cyborg eye or something like that. I know that there are many alts that have not the regular heart that we're used to, but something robotic was put in its place because it functions better than a normal heart that one of the regulars would have. Okay, before they do these surgeries on the alts, they offer them to the people in the loop. Okay. When I say offer, I mean that a choice is put before them for each prisoner in the loop, that they could either have the surgery, and they call it taking the delay, or they can deny the delay and go right ahead with their execution, because everybody in the loop is sentenced to death at some point. So really what happens is that these prisoners are like, okay, you know, here's your next surgery. So you can either go ahead and take the delay of your execution. That's why it's called a delay. Or you could deny the surgery and you get killed that day. So for the most part, most of these prisoners are taking the delay because they want to live. That's not the only thing that happens in this book. There is this sickness that is going through society. All right, and it's a weird sickness that makes people go insane. They have a crazy smile because they're called the smilers, and that's one of their traits. They get this crazy smile, and then they just try to kill anything and anyone in their path. It's not only affecting regulars, it's not only infecting alts, like something is happening that it's sweeping through society. So when this starts to sweep through, there are some people in the loop that are immune to whatever this disease is, and they're trying to figure out why that is. They're trying to break out of the loop, maybe get in touch with family members that they've lost touch with to check on those family members, see what's happening, and also get to the bottom of it. Like, why is this happening? Why are we immune to it? And what does this mean for the future? So there's a lot of things going on in this story, but man, I could not flip through this fast enough. I thought this was a great story. I really enjoyed the character work here. Each prisoner that you get to meet in the loop, like, I felt like the backstories I got were kind of rich. Or even if you didn't get somebody's backstory, and there are some characters where you don't, you want to know more. Like, I really enjoyed it. I felt like the world building was really good too. I could see the loop in my mind. I could understand like what society must feel like when they're going back and forth from the loop, talking about this other place that's even worse called the block. And also thinking of how like the loop is separate from normal society. Like, I don't know, it was just a lot of good world building, a lot of good character development. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I know, the way that I'm talking about it, you'd think I'd give it 5. But I just felt like when I got to the end, some things were missing, or at least not explained enough. Like, I needed more of a conclusion. I needed more closure when I got to the end, because, and the way this book ends, if you get there, we could talk about it. But even the last sentence, I was like, so what happened? Like, I didn't exactly know what I was supposed to think. And I like to get to the end of a book and know what I'm supposed to think. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm not that big of an abstract thinker, or I don't enjoy abstract thinking. I don't know. When I did put my Goodreads review up, one of the things I said was that, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that more books are going to come after this one so that I can get some closure, because I really enjoyed this world. And somebody commented below and said it's the first in a trilogy, which I did not find when I was looking this up, but if it is, yes. And I think that would probably like bump it up to 4.5 to maybe 5 stars if I'm going to get a conclusion in the books to come. But I highly recommend this one. I'm already going to send this one off to somebody that I know will enjoy it, but I know that I will be telling people to pick this one up because I feel like it was different than other things that I've read, and I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm excited to keep reading. So in this part of the video of the second half of my ARC haul, starting off really good. ARC number 2, Deeplight by Frances Hardinge. I don't have a physical copy of this one because as soon as I finished it, I just unhauled it to a friend because I wasn't crazy about it. But let's just talk about what it's about first. So in the world of Deeplight, there used to be these gods. They are dead. At the beginning of the story, the gods are dead. When I think of the gods, I think of like, the Greek Roman gods, Percy Jackson, that kind of thing. This is not like that at all. The gods in this world were kind of like sea monsters. They lived in the sea and they became bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on. However, they couldn't have a close proximity to any of the other gods, or else they would become really aggressive and fight one another to the death, which is eventually how they all died off. So in this world, there's something that's called godware. Now that the gods are dead and gone, godware is like going into the sea and finding pieces of the gods, like pieces of their bodies. So like a hacked off piece of an arm or a leg or I don't know, maybe a nose or something. Like all these little pieces that made up the gods are called godware. And in this society, it's really expensive. It's really precious. I think it would be like finding a diamond or something like that you could use to raise your status in society by having one of these things. All right, so like trading body parts, weird. Okay, weird. All right, the story focuses around this boy named Hark, and for one reason or another, Hark kind of gets like sold into slavery or indentured servitude and needs to study under this person and do everything that she wants him to do in order to kind of like serve out his time. And as he's with this lady, he's learning more about the gods and godware. He's learning more just about life in general and decides that he likes it, but then, man, his friend comes back into his life, Jelt. Man, Jelt sucks. Jelt sucks. Jelt sucks more and more and more as the story goes on. Jelt is not redeeming in the least, and Jelt convinces Hark to go along with some crazy scheme that he has, and Hark, of course, is like, all right, I guess I'll do it, and chaos ensues. The premise is that they find some godware. However, it's not just any godware, it's a piece of a god's heart. And then because it's a heart that's pumping, it starts warping and distorting, the people that come into contact with the heart. I'll just leave it right there. All right. This story was not for me. It's very creative and it's written well, and I feel that people that are into sea monsters and gods and knocking off body pieces will love it. It's just, that's just kind of not my jam. I have realized that I am not into ocean and sea stories. Like, I'm not really into pirates or mermaids or sea monsters. I like sirens. I mean, those are out in the sea. So maybe like one thing that I like out there. But just as a whole, those stories don't really pull me in. I mean, I tried. And again, this is written well. So I think for people who really like sea, ocean, weird kind of stories, they're really gonna like this book. It just wasn't for me, and I ended up giving it 2 stars because I just didn't really enjoy it. There was one character that I really liked a lot. She was this like tough, strong chick. I mean, little girl too. I think she was like 11 or 12, and I found myself really into the scenes that she was in, so that was like the saving grace. But overall, story's not for me. Arc number 3 is Camp by L.C. Rosen. This one follows a boy named Randall. He used to go by Randy, but he has decided to go back to camp this year and go as Dell instead. He kind of remakes himself because he has always had a crush on this boy named Hudson, and he really wants Hudson to notice him, but like the new and improved him. So for example, he used to be into theater, but Dell is not into theater. Dell is into sporty type things, okay? So he's like remaking himself so that he can impress this other guy. Think like Sandy from Grease. That's what came to my head. All right. So this one was a little weird. I am clearly not the target audience because I am not a gay man that has recreated myself at a summer camp for queers, but you know, I like a good different story, so I read it. And there were things in here that I liked and things in here that I didn't like. Overall, I wasn't crazy about it, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. But let me first talk about the things that I did like, and then we'll go into what I wasn't crazy about. So what I did like is that at this camp, the show that they're doing, at least the theater crew of this camp is putting on, is Bye Bye Birdie. Like, I love Bye Bye Birdie. I know that show like the back of my hand. Seriously. I have the soundtrack. I have 2 different soundtracks, you know, one from the movie and one from the stage play. I love that show. So seeing it being put on at a queer camp with there's no attention paid to gender in the roles that they were casting, I just kept thinking like, what a different show they're putting on. And it's highlighted what some of the roles turned into with this non-conforming casting. Like, I know that they cast Kim's dad as a gay man, so it's like he's not this uppity guy that wants Kim McAfee to behave a certain way. It just took the role in a completely different direction. And I just kept thinking like, if I saw a rendition of this Bye Bye Birdie with this queer casting, like it would just be so interesting. And that was something that I really liked reading throughout the book, how those roles changed. So I will say, like, I was into Bye Bye Birdie, not so much camp. I like what camp did with Bye Bye Birdie. Another thing that I really liked, towards the end of this book, there's a discussion about keeping this one character safe. That's, you know, he's out of the closet, he wants to come out of the closet even more so with his boyfriend, but this camp counselor was talking to one of the characters about, you know, making him stay safe, like playing it safe. Don't be flamboyant. He still needs to be raised in his home with his strict parents that aren't so crazy about his life choices. And, you know, being 16, you need to be able to be sure that this kid can go back to that home. And I really liked that. Let me explain why. You know, I think it's important to embrace who you are, be proud of who you are, whoever that is. I know that you want to shout it from the rooftops, and I'm like that too. But I enjoyed the other view of this. Like, what about those kids that just can't do that? They're walking the fine line of being who they are, and if they take it too far, they may be cutting off their entire family, and they're not in a position to do that when they're 16. I understand that there's a need to be safe, okay? And I just felt like kids that are in that position may feel really seen by this book if they go ahead and read it. And I enjoyed that for a different sector of the queer community that we don't usually get to see. You know, we hear about people that are gay or lesbian or trans and saying it loud and proud, which is great, but that's not everyone. And for kids that are 16, like, if you can't be out and proud and you're just trying to be as out as you can be, this book I think is a good one because you're going to be represented in here. I really liked that. Okay, let's talk about the things that I didn't like. This book, the writing I felt was young. Like, I felt like I was reading a younger book. Actually, going into this, for some reason I had it in my head that it was middle grade. This is not a middle grade book. There is some sexy scenes in here. Some of the dialogue is like bizarrely sexual, like the way that they handled innuendos. It was kind of, some of it was just kind of cringy. I couldn't help but cringe, and then I just kept reading on because at least it held my attention. I did put a bookmark on one line in here that I'm going to share with you to you can get an idea of like some of the dialogue that made me cringe, like, ooh, why am I still reading this? So at this point, this guy really wants to like share a tent with somebody else, and he's mad at somebody because he might not be able to share that tent with the guy that he wanted to. So he walked up to him and said, "I am not giving up a night of eating that hairy ass." Do people talk like that? Do 16-year-olds talk like that? Like, I mean, maybe I'm a prude, but like none of my friends talk like that. And I feel like I'm pretty open. I'm an open book. When I read that, I was like, okay. Okay. So the dialogue for the most part, like descriptions and whatnot, they read young, but this dialogue also isn't young because of the sexual matter, and I was kind of confused about like who the target audience was. So I wasn't crazy about it. Again, I gave it 3 stars. It's like a 3.5 because of entertainment value. I mean, I read it from start to finish and I wasn't bored. I got to the end. It was okay. I was not the target audience. I think that's really what it comes down to. But maybe if you are the target audience, you'll enjoy this one a lot more than I did. Fourth and final arc, let's talk about Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. This was a very pleasant surprise. I saved it for last because I was scared to read it, because I met her at YALLFest and I just thought she was the cutest thing. Like, I thought she was so nice. She was so courteous to everybody that was online for her arc. She was even dressed up like the main character right here. I mean, she looked just like this character, and I really liked her, and I really wanted to like her book, and I was so scared that I wasn't going to, so I left it to the end. And I'm very pleased to say that I enjoyed this one immensely. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Maybe it's like a 4.5. I really liked it. Okay, so the book focuses around this girl named Terracide. Now, before I get to Terracide's story, let me explain this world that we're in. In this world, there is what is called a Raybearer. He's kind of like the king of the domain, if you think of it that way. There are different domains, okay? And they kind of like compete in each sector to be one of his inner circle, all right? And the Raybearer is always a man. Spoiler alert, the main character is a female. Like, what do you think's gonna happen there? Just saying. Okay, but let's go back to this guy that's the Raybearer. So all these children, they're children when they come to like compete to be part of his inner circle. So all these children come to, I think it's called the Children's Palace, and he kind of starts forming bonds with them. And the way that he discovers if they can be part of his inner circle by his attempting to share his ray. Like, so I guess something like what I envision, something like shoots out from his mind and tries to connect with another mind. And if they can mind meld, then that person is chosen from that sector, and all the other people from that sector have to go home because it can only be one from each sector. And I think there's a total of 12 in general. So it's kind of like fun. Now, each Raybearer is born with one immunity. I don't think it's the same one for each Raybearer. I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. But each other representative from the other domains, as soon as they're brought into the inner circle, that Raybearer adds that immunity. Okay, so he starts off with 1, and for each person that he connects to with his ray, he adds another immunity. So by the end, he has like 12 immunities, so that people from the outside can't kill him because he's now immune to everything. The only person or people that would be able to kill him are part of his inner circle. Okay, so that's how he like kind of stays safe. So this story focuses around Terracide, not the main Raybearer. It focuses around this girl that goes to compete and be part of this inner circle. However, there is a curse placed on her from her parent, from her mom, that states that whenever she joins that inner circle, she has to kill the Raybearer. All right, I'm gonna leave it there, because it's really exciting. It's not like anything else that I've read. I thought it was great world building. I think this is the first fantasy book that I have read with a black female character as the main character. Like, finally, there's someone different out there than just a white female main character, you know, just something a little different. And I thought the world building in this was so different and exciting, and I wanted to see what happened next, and I was rooting for her, but I also got to know some of the other people in the Raybearer's inner circle, and you really start to bond to them too, because they can all mind meld and like hear each other's thoughts, and they start becoming a family. Like it was different, and I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so those are my 4 arcs from part 2 of my YALLFest haul. So I think, you know, judging these arcs that I have here, it would be Raybearer, The Loop, Camp, Deeplight. And The Loop is really close to Raybearer, but there was something, I don't know. I really liked the Raybearer and The Loop. I feel bad putting one above the other. So maybe they're just kind of like neck and neck with each other. Okay, so anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you for tuning in to Elise Reads and Speaks. I will catch you next time, guys. Bye!